Most people are taught that to gain influence, they must be present, available, responsive, and generous with their time. They believe power comes from showing up everywhere, answering every message, explaining every action, and making themselves constantly visible. But Machiavelli understood something far more dangerous and far more powerful. Scarcity creates value, not abundance, not constant presence. Scarcity. When something is always available, people stop respecting it. When something is rare, controlled, and unpredictable, people begin to crave it. And this is not just a theory of economics, it is a law of human psychology. The rare person commands curiosity. The rare opportunity commands urgency. The rare voice commands attention, but the person who is always around becomes background noise. This is the dangerous power of scarcity, because once you understand it, you realize something uncomfortable. Most people destroy their own value by being too available. They answer instantly. They explain themselves constantly. They chase approval. They try to stay relevant by talking more, posting more, reacting more. But the more they appear, the less people feel their presence. Scarcity works because the human mind is wired to chase what might disappear. Think about the last time someone suddenly stopped replying. Your mind started asking questions. Did they lose interest? Are they busy? Did something happen? But if that same person had been replying every 30 seconds all day, your brain would not even register their messages as something valuable. Availability lowers perceived worth. And Machiavelli knew that perception is power. He understood that rulers, leaders, and influential figures could not afford to be everywhere. If a ruler was always visible, always speaking, always reacting, the mystery would vanish, and with it, the authority. Instead, powerful figures mastered, controlled presence. They appeared when it mattered. They spoke rarely, but when they did, people listened. They allowed silence to do what constant explanation never could: build anticipation. This is why the most influential people in history often seemed distant, not because they were arrogant, but because they understood that distance creates gravity. People lean toward what they cannot easily access. Look at how attention works in the modern world. Social media has created a culture where everyone is constantly performing, posting every thought, sharing every opinion, reacting to every trend. The result: attention inflation. When everyone speaks, nobody stands out. When everyone is visible, visibility loses meaning. The rare voice suddenly becomes the powerful one. The person who disappears for a while and then returns with something meaningful suddenly commands attention, not because they shouted louder, but because their silence made space for curiosity. Scarcity is not about disappearing completely. It is about controlling access to yourself, your time, your attention, your responses, your presence. Most people treat these things like they are unlimited. They hand them out freely. They respond to every calls. They entertain every distraction. They explain themselves to people who have not earned an explanation. But the moment something becomes unlimited, its value collapses. Think about water in the desert. One bottle can feel priceless, but the same water in a place where it flows endlessly from a tap becomes ordinary. People do not chase what they can get anytime. They chase what they might lose. Machiavelli understood this deeply in political power. If a ruler gave too much access to himself, his authority weakened. If he constantly defended his decisions, people sensed insecurity. But if he spoke rarely and acted decisively, people projected strength onto him. Scarcity allows others to fill the silence with their own assumptions. And most of the time, those assumptions increase your perceived power. This is why the most dangerous person in a room is often not the loudest one. It is the quiet one who speaks when it matters. Because when someone talks constantly, their words lose weight. But when someone speaks rarely, every sentence carries pressure. The room leans in. People listen more carefully, because they know they might not hear it again soon. Scarcity amplifies impact, but here is where most people misunderstand this concept. They think scarcity means playing games, ignoring people deliberately, acting cold, pretending to be busy. That is not real scarcity. That is insecurity disguised as strategy. True scarcity comes from having priorities. A person who is genuinely focused does not have unlimited time for everything. They are building something, learning something, moving towards something, so their attention becomes naturally selective, and that selectiveness creates scarcity. This is why highly driven individuals often become more attractive, more respected, and more intriguing without even trying. They are not chasing attention. Their attention is invested elsewhere. And ironically, that makes people chase them. Scarcity flips the dynamic of attention. Instead of you chasing validation, validation starts chasing you. But this principle is dangerous because once people realize it, they begin to see how often they have been manipulated by it. Marketing uses scarcity all the time. Limited time offers, exclusive releases, members-only access. Not because the product is necessarily rare, but because perceived rarity creates urgency. Your brain starts thinking, if I don't act now, I might lose this opportunity. And suddenly something that was optional becomes irresistible. Scarcity compresses time. It forces decisions. It creates emotional pressure. The same psychological mechanism operates in relationships, status, and social influence. The person who is always chasing rarely gets chased, but the person who is selective with their energy becomes magnetic. Because scarcity forces people to ask a powerful question. Why is this person not easily available? And the human mind often answers that question by assuming value. We instinctively believe that if something is hard to access, it must be important. This is why exclusive clubs feel prestigious, why private events feel special, why limited invitations feel flattering. Scarcity turns ordinary things into desirable things, and when applied to personal behavior, it can completely transform how people perceive you. But Machiavelli also warned about something even more strategic. Scarcity is not only about being less available, it is also about revealing less. Most people sabotage their own influence because they explain too much. They reveal their plans too early. They expose their weaknesses before necessary. They talk through every idea before it has matured. But information, like attention, gains value when it is controlled. If everyone knows your next move, your move loses power. If everyone understands your intentions, you lose strategic advantage. This is why Machiavelli believed that powerful individuals must master the art of concealment, not lying unnecessarily, but revealing only what serves your position. Because the moment people feel they fully understand you, your unpredictability disappears. And unpredictability is one of the hidden engines of influence. When people cannot fully predict you, they watch you more closely. They analyze your actions more carefully. They give your words more importance. Scarcity of information creates curiosity. Scarcity of presence creates attention. Scarcity of approval creates desire. But abundance of these things creates the opposite. When approval is constant, it feels meaningless. When presence is constant, it feels ordinary. When information is constant, it becomes noise. The dangerous power of scarcity lies in its ability to reshape perception without force. You do not need to dominate a room. You simply need to control when and how you appear inside it. And the moment people realize that your attention is limited, your silence becomes louder than someone else's constant speaking. But there is an even deeper layer to scarcity that Machiavelli understood, one that most people completely overlook. Scarcity does not only change how others see you, it changes how you see yourself. Because the moment you begin protecting your time, your attention, and your presence, something subtle shifts in your psychology. You stop behaving like someone who is desperate to be included. You begin behaving like someone who chooses where to invest themselves. And that shift is dangerous, because when a person stops seeking constant validation, they become much harder to manipulate. They are not easily pressured by social approval. They are not easily rushed into reactions. They are not easily pulled into unnecessary conflicts. Their energy becomes deliberate. Their words become measured. Their presence becomes strategic. And people begin to sense something different about them. Not arrogance, not coldness, but control. The control of someone who knows that attention is a currency and refuses to spend it cheaply. This is the moment scarcity transforms from a tactic into a mindset. Because true scarcity is not about acting distant. It is about understanding that your life, your time, and your focus are finite resources. And once you truly understand that, you begin to realize how casually most people give theirs away. They argue with strangers online. They chase people who barely respect them. They explain themselves to critics who will never be satisfied. They stay constantly reachable, constantly reactive, constantly available. And in doing so, they unknowingly train the world to treat them like something unlimited. But the people who quietly rise in influence often operate differently. They do not try to be everywhere. They choose where they matter. They do not respond to every noise. They respond to what aligns with their direction. They do not reveal every thought. They reveal what strengthens their position. And because of that restraint, their presence begins to carry a different kind of weight. But Machiavelli's most unsettling observation about scarcity was this. People often value what is withheld more than what is given, which means the person who gives everything, their time, their attention, their availability, often receives the least respect, while the person who carefully controls access often receives the most. And once you understand this, you start seeing it everywhere, in leadership, in attraction, in negotiation, in reputation. The individuals who seem most desired are rarely the ones trying hardest to be liked. They are the ones who are hardest to fully access. And that controlled distance creates something powerful: anticipation. Because anticipation is emotional gravity. When people anticipate your words, your appearance, your response, your influence multiplies before you even act. Scarcity allows imagination to do the work for you. But this is where the real danger of scarcity begins. Because when used strategically, it can shift the balance of power in almost any social situation. And most people never realize they are reacting to it. They simply feel the pull. They feel the curiosity. They feel the desire to understand, to reach, to gain attention from the person who is not easily available. Which is why Machiavelli believed that the most powerful figures were not the ones constantly fighting for attention, but the ones who could withdraw it at the perfect moment. Because nothing reveals someone's true intentions faster than taking away the attention they assumed they had. And when attention disappears, people suddenly begin to reveal their priorities. Some chase, some become resentful, some try to provoke a reaction. But the person who understands scarcity simply watches, because silence is a mirror. It reflects who people really are. And the person who can remain silent while others become restless holds an invisible advantage that few people truly understand. But the most advanced use of scarcity is not just withdrawing attention. It is knowing exactly when to return it. Because a presence that disappears completely is forgotten. But a presence that appears, disappears, and reappears at the right moments becomes unforgettable. And mastering that rhythm is where scarcity transforms from a simple idea into a psychological weapon. Machiavelli understood that timing turns scarcity into power. When you return after absence, people pay closer attention than they ever did before. Your words carry more weight, your presence feels more significant, and even small actions suddenly seem important. Because during your silence, something powerful happened. People thought about you. They filled the gaps with their own interpretations, their own curiosity, their own expectations. And when you finally appear again, you are no longer just another voice in the noise. You become the voice that broke the silence. That is the dangerous power of scarcity. Not disappearance, but controlled presence that keeps the world watching.